But I remember when DMX was 28 years old and they asked DMX, they said, what do you do while you're on tour all day? He said, fuck all day, drink all night. Or no, he said, drink. He said, smoke all day, fuck all night. That's what he said. And even at 29 years old, I said, is that all you do? Man, that's kind of wild. And literally years later, this man dies, a shadow of himself, dies from drugs, doesn't have any money to speak of in terms of wealth he can leave his children. And it's sad because here's the thing. People who claim to care about Black wealth, if you're not talking about these stories, then you don't care about Black wealth. If you're not talking about all these missed opportunities, then you don't care about Black wealth. You pretend to. You say, oh, Black wealth matters and we need more wealth and we need reparations. Well, how the hell are you going to talk about reparations when you got when you're throwing away $1 billion opportunities in bad culture? You got all these situations where Black men are being encouraged to solve problems with violence as opposed to conflict resolution skill. And in many of these cases, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars is lost as a result of that. And then later on, when the children have nothing left, when nothing is being left to the kids, everybody gets all confused and say, well, it's because the white man did it. Well, he did do it, but the way he did it was not the way you think. The way he did it was he planted a culture in your community that makes you think that every situation should be resolved with something ignorant. Every situation should be resolved with some sort of conflict. Every situation should be resolved with us beating each other up, killing each other, hating each other, breaking up the group, everything else. And then also, if you throw in the way we were encouraged to embrace drugs and alcohol, and how many Negroes have been shot at the club, how many guys have gone to prison because they beat up or shot somebody at the club, that right there that's about $5 trillion in Black wealth that went out the window just from poor decision making. That's $5 trillion in Black wealth that went out the window because we're not teaching young boys emotional intelligence. Do you understand? That's $5 trillion in Black wealth that goes away because we're not embracing conflict resolution. We're instead encouraging people to kill people and kill each other, beat them up, punch them in the face, cheering on Will Smith. Yeah, protect Black women, punch Chris Rock in the face. Well, Chris Rock Chris Rock won from that. Chris Rock is probably in some lawsuit right now and is going to take $100 million from Will Smith's family from whatever lawsuit he has filed. So I'm not saying that there aren't situations that call for violence. I'm not saying that. I think violence is fine when violence is called for. Remember, I grew up with a man who's killed people. A lot of people can't say that. My father's actually killed people. But one thing that he taught me about violence is that you don't want to go there unless that is your only option. So violence is called for if somebody attacks you. Violence is called for if somebody's physically attacking your loved ones. Violence is called for if somebody runs up on you with a weapon. Violence is not called for over a damn tweet. Do you understand what I'm saying? And again, I don't think Shaq is going to punch anybody in the face, but remember, he's the OG. People look up to this. And I think that in general, part of the reason your community struggles is because you got a lot of bearded babies out here. You got a lot of men that look like grown men because they got beards, maybe even gray in their beard, but they're still acting like children. Why do they do that? Well, a lot of times they do that because they feel that they're losing their relevance. They feel that they live in a culture that only values people under the age of 30. They don't want to not be connected to the culture and what's cool and what's hip. And so what you'll see is you'll see some man who's 45 or 50 years old still saying things that he knows are emotionally immature statements, but he'll do that because he wants everybody to cheer him on. I think Shaq needs that. I think Shaq needs to have people cheering him on like they did when he was a basketball player. And I would just say, brother, come on, man. Like you're probably a grandfather or close to it. Why not embrace being a grandfather?